So how many of you have ever taken a photograph in a pub or a restaurant of yourself or somebody else? Okay, how many of you have geotagged that location and posted it? So that's great. You are in the 70% of the world that have participated in social media, and as we've heard about today, you're content creators. And I think this is actually a quite understated number, because I think a lot of people do this every day, multiple times a day. But it's been the first generation. We talk about kind of what has happened historically and now where are we going. The first generation of social content has really been one where the content has been stuck in the stream. It's a destination you go. You go to that other network and you spend time there, and that's where that content is. But that is stuck there. And worse than that, it has a temporal feel to it. There is a lifespan to that content. If you don't go there a lot, it goes away, you may miss it. And it's really time-bound. And in some cases, in some social networks, it's very, very short, that window of that lifespan of that content. And then the third limitation of today's social networks has really been that it's lacked a human element. It's restricted to 140 characters, or it's an unattractive image, or it's cluttered around with a lot of ads. It's really not the way you want to be social, that you can be social, and it's sort of a little bit unnatural. So what I want to talk about today is how Google Plus is the next generation of social and what that means. So first of all, to sort of dispel the myth, Google Plus is not just a social network. Yes, it's a place you can go. You can go to plus.google.com, and we'll talk about in a second how many people go there. But more importantly, Google Plus provides you as brands and me as a user an identity, relationships, and reach across the whole web. Google Plus allows you to extend a social layer, a social spine across all things Google and the web, where people have implemented Google Plus features. So search, YouTube, Play, Display, Offers, Local, Gmail. And I'll give you an example, the one that was just announced a couple weeks ago with YouTube. So now users are going in and leaving comments which are much more sincere, using their Google Plus identity. And more importantly now, you as a user, when you go see those comments, and we know what scary places those comments have been historically, now you can just filter the comments by people that are in your circles, people you know, people you trust, people you think are going to be relevant to you. So that's an example of where Google Plus has added a social layer with identity and relationships now across all these properties, and YouTube being just the most recent example. I'll talk about that more and what that means to you as a brand. But let's get the numbers out of the way. So 500 million people using Google Plus have Google Plus accounts. 190 million active in the last 30 days. Those are folks that are going in and going to plus.google.com. The number that we care a lot about is the 390 million number. Those are people taking actions across that entire network, across every place where Google Plus has been implemented, taking Google Plus actions. They're plus oneing, they're sharing, they're commenting with their Google Plus identity. That's the number we care about. And we're just over 2 years old, so we're still a toddler. So what does this mean to you as a brand marketer? We want to weave the story into, the social story, into all of the purchase journey that your consumers go on, and then how you can leverage this. So we heard this morning about how people are using mobile devices and hyper-connected at every moment of the journey, oftentimes during a purchase decision, getting input from friends, asking people to comment on what they're looking at. So we'll talk about kind of how Google Plus plays into that whole consumer experience. So first of all, brand awareness. Google Plus gives you an opportunity as a brand to establish a consistent, unique identity across all the web. And it's everywhere consumers are. Again, if there's one thing to take away, it's that Google Plus is unlocking content, unleashing your identity across the web. You're not forcing people to go find you and spend time on plus.google.com. So let's take an example of this. Burberry's starts with a post. They announce a new line of sunglasses. They announce it using Google Plus through a Google Plus post. That's the beginning of this journey of this content. Now it can be amplified in search results. And if it's relevant. So we talk a lot about how this C generation, and consumers, they want relevancy. And this is, if it's relevant, it will show up. And it will show up at the moment of the intent. They are looking for sunglasses. This post may be relevant to them. And so it's surfaced in search, which, by the way, is still the #1 place where people go and find out content. They start with Google to search information. The second place is on the right-hand side. You see that Google Plus content is surfaced on the right-hand side. First, in terms of the ability for people to follow you. So Burberry is close to 3 million followers on Google Plus. Ability to follow right there from search, as well as have a recent post show up. It's also on YouTube. As I mentioned, the YouTube comments now are integrated for consumers. And for you as a brand, when you go in and you merge your YouTube identity with your Google Plus identity and create that one consistent, unified brand, that is what your consumers, your brand advocates are seeing. Also, your content is surfaced there. So if they happen to be interacting with you on Google Plus, on YouTube, your Google Plus content can show right there for them. As opposed to redirecting them someplace else or taking them away from the experience that they're in. As we've said, YouTube is the #2 social network out there, and that content there can be surfaced. It's now in Gmail as well. If you have a customer list that you are emailing and they are Gmail users, that content can be surfaced. I don't know how many people have seen this from a personal standpoint, where you see personal people emailing you with Google Plus content. Has anybody experienced that, where you see some of their recent posts up on the right-hand side? This is now available to brands. So we are trying to, again, instead of having somebody go to a destination to see that social content, we're bringing the social content to them, and it's relevant in the context of promotion that you are actually delivering through another means, which is email. So we think of social as a layer. It's not a separate destination. It's not a separate platform or channel. So again, just to bring you kind of a full circle here, we have this consistent, unified identity that you can establish for free. Peter wanted to raise budgets here, I think, a little earlier. All this is for free, and we encourage you, if you do one thing, to go and claim your Google Plus page. Create a beautiful identity. Photographs are beautiful, render beautifully, both on mobile, on desktop and laptops, and on tablets. Also, merge it with your YouTube identity, and then be active, because this is what people are seeing, and as Google Plus content, they're seeing it wherever and whenever they are across the web. I want to touch on one feature that I think is really cool, which is a discovery feature for users, which is hashtags within Google Plus. So you can hashtag content that actually now is automatically applied. If you don't like the hashtags that Google applies, you can change it to be part of a conversation. And the goal, again, is to engage in a conversation stream that your consumers are already having, not to create your separate one, because as we heard, they want the 4 C's, the C generation, they want authentic content. They want conversations that they're having, they want their community, and you have an opportunity to participate in that if there's a relevant hashtag. Most importantly, though, that content, those hashtags now show up in search. So you can search for that hashtag, and that related string of content around that hashtag topic now can show up on the right-hand side in search, if it's relevant, again, to this consumer's search experience. So just to bring it back, what we're trying to do for consumers, I think, is really good for you as brand marketers. So for consumers, we're trying to make social relevant wherever, whenever, as opposed to having to be a separate experience, a separate place you have to go to get that information. And as brand marketers, it actually attaches you more to the consumer in the moment that they're most relevantly engaging with your brand in search, in Gmail, on YouTube, and all the other Google platforms. So that was the first journey, that was the first element around brand awareness and how social layers into brand awareness. And now I want to talk about how social can influence consideration. And again, it's everywhere consumers are. So some interesting stats are almost 8 out of 10 consumers say a brand's social media activity influences their purchase decision. So I'm guessing with the number of hands that went up around how many people are actually engaged in social, you already understand that. You see the power of this for your consumers and for your brand loyalists. Also, we see that Over 7 out of 10 consumers trust online recommendations. They trust social endorsements as much as their personal recommendations. And it gets even better if they know and appreciate the actual influencer. So what does that mean for you? We have, with local Google Plus pages and also G+ brand pages, we have the ability to bring some of those social signals or social annotations right into search. So we talked about the actual post content. Here's an example of a local G+ page for a hotel. And not only are the reviews surfaced in search, but also a recent post is surfaced in search and the ability to follow this brand right on Google+. So this again is bringing that content when someone is searching for this hotel, being able to quickly help them get access to the reviews, to the posts, to the social endorsements that are important to them. Another feature where people can interact with brands and brands like yours is to engage in communities. Communities are a very powerful way to start a conversation, host a conversation around your brand. As opposed to trying to get everybody to come to your brand page and interact with your brand page, you can create a community or participate in an existing community and be part of a conversation. We'll talk more about Velo Plus later, but this is a very active community they've created where they invite other people who are interested in cycling to participate. And again, they come across as an expert in the field and as a brand who cares about the conversation. Hangouts on Air. Who here has participated in a Hangout on Air? Awesome. So a lot of experienced folks here. Hangouts on Air are one of the most exciting things I think about and unique things about Google Plus in that it's an incredibly interactive experience. Unlike other sort of social platforms where it's a very rigid format, this is a format that allows you to really push the envelope in terms of creating a unique, customized experience for your brand advocates. In this case, Toyota took the opportunity to create a custom Hangout experience for their in-market purchasers. So folks that were considering buying a Prius, what might they want? What might they want to add on features? And the ability to then build out their customized car, share that with friends, and even go all the way as to talk to an expert who is in market in their location. And this experience is a truly unique kind of novel way. And we actually have a couple of examples in the US now where folks are selling cars, dealers are actually selling cars using Hangouts on Air to connect with their folks that are in market. So we've gone through brand awareness, and we've gone through influencing consideration and how social is adding a layer to both of those. Now we'll move to sales. And Alan touched on this a little bit earlier when he talked about the power of social annotations and the ability to what those social annotations do in search at the moment of intent. Social endorsements matter. So almost 4 out of 10 millennials will say that they're likely to purchase a brand that has social endorsements. And we know that goes up when it's very, very personalized with personal relationships established. What does that mean? Sorry. In search ads, you see the annotation that says 121 followers follow this brand on Google+, or 158 people follow this page on Google+. What we've seen on average across all industries is that social endorsement, that social annotation pulling from Google+, that gives credibility. It essentially creates this personal endorsement that says this is a real company and people are following this page. It is a very interesting dynamic that we've seen, which is that people now say, wow, that's a credible business. That's a credible ad. And we've also seen the impact 5 to 10% lift, CTR uplift on those ads. And across certain industries, it's even better. So in apparel purchases, for example, that can be as high as a 20% lift. In laptops and PCs, 13%. So what we really see is it means something to people to be able to quickly, they're making a snap judgment on is this a valid business or not? Is this a credible business, and is it been socially endorsed? And that means something to particularly this generation that's very, very active with social. So we've talked about now the purchase event, and hopefully you've converted them as a customer. But now you've gotten to the most important and fun part, I think, which is actually retaining them as a customer and converting them from liking your brand to loving your brand, and to go out on a limb so they will tell their friends about your brand. And the ultimate goal is that they will defend your brand when something goes wrong, or when they're confronted with somebody else who likes a different brand. And that's the ultimate goal, is to have those brand advocates turn into, those brand loyalists turn into brand advocates. So we've given, the Google Plus platform really has some interesting features to create that authentic, rich experience and turn those brand enthusiasts into brand loyalists. We know that, and I think you all probably in this room already know, that 90% of consumers back brands after interacting via social media. So if they actually are interacting with you and following your brand on social media, they are actually your most treasured, your most valuable loyalists. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing, very, very basic, is establish a really unified, consistent brand identity. We talked about that. And then get active. Go and make sure that your cover photo is beautiful. You're actively posting rich, engaging content. As I said, there's no other platform where photographs are as beautiful and as enriching. And we're putting them all on our screens all across Google. Photographs are absolutely stunning. Leverage that experience. And be really active on your platform and with your brand identity. The second piece, as I said, is communities is a really powerful force. I think some of you were invited to a community on your way here to participate and get some news. We've already seen that some of you are uploading content. Communities are a great way to just continue to extend that engagement experience for your brand loyalists. And National Geographic has a wonderful community called Exploration. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And it is inviting a lot of people to contribute to the conversation. It's not just National Geographic. The third thing we recommend is go figure out who those people are that are your top influencers. So you kind of have a gut, and you know that some people are more valuable than other ones. Well, we have two opportunities to go find them. On YouTube, you can go and see who are your top fans. And who are they? What are they doing? That's different. What have they done recently? Go and identify those top fans. And in Google Plus, we have Ripples. Ripples will allow you to go in. It's a really neat feature to go in and see who are the most influential people. You can pretty much see visually here who are the people that you may want to put in a different circle, or you may want to reach out to them in a different way. So pretty exciting tools to help you identify who is most important to you. Not that everybody is important to you, but there are certain people that are very influential, and make sure you know who they are and leverage them as you engage with them. Another fascinating stat here is that we just released Google Plus sign-in as a social sign-in, as an alternative to the other social sign-ins out there. And we are already in #2 position in a very short amount of time at 34%. The other one, I think, is at about 43%. And it's because Google is a very trusted brand, and people are understanding that they can enrich their experience on their app, on their desktop, if they allow users to sign in with Google Plus and then share with other people in their Google Plus network. As it also gives a great ability to quickly establish a presence in Play and have reviews be surfaced that are rated by individuals using Google Plus. So the ability, if you have an app or you have a site where you are allowing people to use a social sign-in, we really encourage you to check out the Google Plus sign-in implementation. I'll go back to Hangouts for a second, because we'll do one live in a second here. But I think this is such a unique experience for people to interact with your brand in a really natural way, because it is a live experience. It's not just a static post. And this is a great example where Clinique has actually brought the makeup counter into people's homes. Instead of having them come into the store, they can actually engage with them here and give a live tutorial, live instruction. And of course, this content then can get repurposed for YouTube. So to wrap up, just to kind of give you the headlines, Google Plus is your business identity across the web. And so as brand marketers, we encourage you to be your brand, own that identity, build those relationships, and leverage Google Plus everywhere that it is adding a social layer. And if there's one thing to take away, it's that it breaks it out of plus.google.com. It is across all things Google and every website that has implemented any sort of social Google Plus feature. So I thought we'd make it real by talking about a specific customer. So Velo Plus is a customer in Switzerland that has been really innovative and just killed it with Google Plus. They've really leveraged all the features, experimented with a lot of exciting elements, and they are both an online store for specialized bike parts, as well as having 6 brick-and-mortar stores in Switzerland. So as you can see here, their identity, and I think we've shown you some pictures about them from them earlier, but their identity is very consistent. You get a very clear picture that these guys know biking, they know cycling, and they are extremists at it. And they have a very active and beautiful Google Plus page. That identity is extended over to their YouTube channel, where they have a lot of YouTube content, and they do a lot of Hangouts, and we'll talk about that in a second. But they have Hangouts that they then repost and reshare on YouTube. And then they've gone in and claimed, as a local business, they have 6 locations that are on Google Maps, and they've gone in and claimed those. And again, their identity is extended with reviews. And if you go in and see, you'll see their content on their local page. So they've been able to pull it all together with their Google Plus identity. And again, this is the unpaid side. And they've complemented it with an investment on the paid side. So we talk about social media as being a fire that can start, a viral fire that can start, but you need the paid media to spark it. And so they have been actively invested in image ads, in YouTube videos, in search, of course, and they're actually a beta partner of ours on promoted posts right now. So I thought what we'd do is connect with Oliver Lutz, who's the Director of Digital Marketing at Velo Plus, and do that over a Hangout. So you can see, if you haven't experienced a Hangout before, you can actually see one live now. There he is. Hi, welcome, Oliver.
Hi, Monica.
Thanks for joining us today. So I thought what you could do is start by maybe telling us why you made an investment in Google+. What was your original strategy for Google+?
Well, to be honest, Google+ is from Google. Google is very important for us, for the whole web, I think. And so it was no question for us to start with it.
That's great.
And now, meanwhile, Google+ is like our business identity all over Google's, means we tie it into YouTube, Maps, etc.
And can you tell us what you've done with Google+? You're on a Google+ Hangout right now. Can you tell us how you use Hangouts? You're coming across in pretty high definition. How do you use Hangouts for your business?
Yes, we stage Hangouts every 3 months together with our customers. We are talking about new products during the Hangouts, or the customers give us the feedback. And we have a Hangout this week, little commercial for our Hangout, on Wednesday, directly from our store in Zurich, so people can be there online or offline. So that's very cool. In general, Hangout use them because they are very easy to set up and very, very interactive. It's almost as good as being there live.
Almost as good as they're being live. Okay, so we are going to use this opportunity to bring him here live, because while I love the Hangout and it's great to see you up close, we still value the human relation. So if you could come in here and join us, that would be fantastic.
Okay, great idea. I'm on my way.
Thank you. So I think we used a lot of examples of large brands like Burberry's and Clinique and Toyota doing this stuff. And what's so great about Velo Plus is they are a brand, a local Swiss brand with limited resources, limited budget, and they are leveraging Google Plus and all the Google Plus features, and particularly Hangouts. And if you have questions, I think he'd love to answer them, because he's been doing some really innovative stuff. So I'd love to welcome Oliver to our stage. Thank you so much.
Hi, Monica.
Live. So I think this audience would be interested in hearing your content strategy. So what has worked for you on Google Plus and what hasn't worked for you?
Yeah, firstly, it was really trial and error to find out what works or what doesn't work. After a while, we found out that Google Plus users are really interested into topics. So now we're always trying to get deeper than on other social media platforms. And as simple as it sounds, there is a reason why Google Plus users are on Google Plus. Therefore, we will never, and really never, just repost Facebook content or refer to Facebook content.
So you're really creating unique content for your Google Plus community.
That's very important, because we see it's not the same user as on Facebook.
Right. So can you, you had a really interesting thing happen this year, which is your Google Plus community crossed over your other major social network in terms of community. Can you tell us how that happened? What did you do to make that happen? We get a lot of people who say, well, how do I build my community on Google Plus? What are sort of some things that you did that worked really well?
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I flew here with Swiss International Airlines. I mean, a really huge company with about 7,000 employees. VeloPlus around 100, maybe a bit less. But on Google Plus, we are 4 times bigger than Swiss International Airlines. I think the reason for this success is just our daily community work, and of course the believing in the platform and the given tools. And still, there are many other companies in Switzerland which still reserved and put all their resources into Facebook. And I mean, that's our big chance, and maybe it's also yours.
Have you seen a different type of interaction on your Google Plus community versus your other network?
No different type. What I see, the video content works very well. On Facebook, you have the edge rank. You never know who really sees your video. And I have the number of views on Google Plus, and video content really works.
Okay, that's great. So somebody sort of said it earlier, which is everybody sort of advocates for the latest thing and questionable kind of what the impact is on your business. So can you talk about what is the impact of social in general on your business? How do you measure that? And then what's the specific impact of Google Plus?
Yeah, good point. I really like to do Hangouts, but I couldn't do them if there's no money to pay me. And so on Google Plus, we have, through Google Analytics, we have to prove that there are directly conversions from Google Plus, and of course, really high click rates on veloplus.ch, our web shop.
So you're actually measuring traffic from your Hangouts and from your Google Plus page to your website?
Yes.
Okay. And do you also have you seen offline conversions? I think one of the questions we frequently get is, well, how do you? That's fine if you're just going to convert somebody directly from a Hangout, but often, as we've seen, purchases don't convert immediately. It may take a while. People may see something online and then buy it offline. How do you address that for your business?
I really met some people. I met them first in the Hangout, and then I saw them again in the store. So that's really fascinating. And maybe next Wednesday, it will be interesting to see how many people who saw that we have a Hangout in our store in Zurich will be there.
Will actually come into the store.
Yeah.
Interesting. How would you, I guess if you had to give this audience a couple tips on what to do right and what to do wrong, or what not to do, what tips would you leave this audience?
First of all, very important, follow VeloPlus on Google Plus. That's tip. Right. No, to be serious, if you have not so far, create a Google Plus page and then try to find out how people or how Google Plus user tick. And they don't take like other users. I saw this in the last couple of months. And please, and that's really a big please, don't post things like, we have a great competition on Facebook. I have to say it again. Create content for Google Plus users and let them know that you're really interested in talking with them.
How often would you recommend people do a Hangout? Or maybe how would you start? If somebody's never done a Hangout before for their business, what would you encourage them to do to start, and then kind of what frequency?
Yeah, first I would start in the office with people from the office, because there are many things, technical things, who can go wrong. You can see it on our YouTube channel. If you click on your own window, then you have, during the whole Hangout, you have your own face, big. So it's really, really important to test it first intern. And then if you go external, then please be sure that people will be in your Hangout. Maybe they click, yes, I will participate, but you never know if they're really there. So try to contact your followers again and to ask them, hey, are you really there? Or make maybe a little competition during the Hangout that they can win something, because then they will really come.
And have you found a magic hour, a time that's worked? We've heard a lot about how people use different devices at different times of day. Is there a time of day to do a Hangout, or at least a Hangout on cycling?
Yeah, evening it's a good time, because during the day people are working, and then it's hard. So 7 p.m., 8 p.m. works well for us. Okay,
that's great. So I think, you have done a fantastic job. As I said, you've been a showcase brand where you've taken an original content strategy from all the other social networks and really leveraged the power and the very cool interactive things that Google Plus offers, and also tied it across everything. As you said, you recognized early that it was your business identity and established a very, very clear visual brand identity across everything, so that no matter where people have found your content, it has reflected your brand, and it's a very consistent brand presence. And I think what's interesting for us to see is how, as you look at your search performance, how many of your search queries are actually for your brand, as opposed to a generic term where you've had to compete with other folks even potentially outside of your market. But when you've invested in your brand, you clearly are seeing results as people search for your query based on your exact brand name.
Mm-hmm. And we really see this result. We have many searches for our brand name, and that's cool. We don't have to pay too much on AdWords for our brand, so sorry to say that, but it's true. Nice for us.
So I'm the social person. I think that's great. That's super. Well, thank you so much. I think what I'll do is I'll wrap up and hand it back. Before you guys go, though, I just want to leave you with one thing, which is that Google Plus is it's at the very beginning of a strategy, which I think hopefully described here today, which is Google's strategy about bringing social to everything, no matter where people are, no matter what they're doing, and to make it as interactive and dynamic as possible. I think what is so cool, and you saw in Robert's video about Glass, is where the technology can enable and support your own experience, as opposed to forcing you to something that is maybe not as natural. So again, if you have a G Plus app, you'll notice some of the really cool features that you can do with your G Plus app while you're out and about, as opposed to being locked in sort of a destination. And that content, as a brand marketer, can be surfaced across every platform, every place, as well as those social annotations, and we're just at the beginning. So we encourage you to check it out, and if you have any, I think there's a training session in a couple days where a team is going to go deep on how to use Google Plus and specifically some of the features we've talked about today. So if you're sticking around, I encourage you to attend that session. Thank you.